Hi everyone, you know me from Twitter as MilkTV925. I'm just going to do a quick video on how to hold a K-pop event, or tips on how to hold K-pop events, mainly cup sleeve. I'm just going to give a rundown of sort of logistics, planning and designing and the actual event on the day. I've had quite a lot of people ask me how to plan events and a lot of the stuff that I did in planning. And instead of trying to message people back, I just figured it'd be a lot easier to just make a video. So here we are talking to my camera. Okay, so the first thing that I want to go over is just planning, like general first planning when you first start. First thing that you should probably plan is exactly what date and sort of time that you want to do this event. For example, if it's a birthday event for a K-pop idol, do you want to do it on their birthday or do you want to do it weeks before, weeks after? If a K-pop idol's birthday falls in the midweek, people are probably going to be at work or school depending on the time of the year. So maybe try and plan it around a weekend when more people would be available. Also, next thing, think about the goodies that you're going to have at your event. Think about what you want to do and whether you want to give it away for free or maybe charge. Some cup sleeves events have freebies and then they would have like a kit that you could pay maybe a few pounds for to get extra goodies. Think in your head what you would do for free and what you would maybe charge people for, or whether you would have no charge or whether you would charge for the whole event. This is completely up to the event organiser and completely up to you. Next thing, think about, are you going to sell any merchandise? At my event I sold quite a lot of merchandise that I'd gathered whilst I was living in Asia. This is worth thinking of. I didn't really think about doing this until I got back home and realised that I had a lot of merchandise that I'd needed to get rid of. Think about the fact that people are probably going to want to buy them but not want to going to be ripped off. Always sort of charge face value. I'm not going to charge people for shipping. They're not having it shipped, they're picking it up off me at my event that they're kindly coming to. So don't rip people off if you're going to sell merchandise. Also, when planning, before you book any sort of cafe or event space, make sure you know roughly how many sort of people are coming. I think this is really important, as they would also like to know as well. For example, with my event, the cafe were constantly asking me if I knew what the sort of number of people were. Okay, now I'm going to sort of talk about the logistics of planning an event. Planning an event is no easy task and there's quite a lot to think about when planning. For me, I probably picked the completely worst time to hold my first event. I was not living in the UK at the time, I was still living in Hong Kong. I was finishing a job and I was also having to move back my whole life back to the UK whilst planning an event that wasn't happening in the country I was living in, and having to design every single thing that was going into the event, having to talk to the cafe, having to talk to suppliers, and it was a nightmare to be honest. It was not easy. It was definitely not easy. And that is one thing that I would say, if you're going to hold an event, just know that it takes a lot of time and a lot of work. Don't get yourself into it if you've got a lot of things on. If you can handle pressure and you're determined to do it, then you do it. For example, if you're still in school, maybe don't hold an event, or if you are going to hold an event, maybe look for people who can help you do it. Don't take it on solo. As that young of an age, I mean, I would have freaked out. I'm 22 and even I found holding it difficult and doing everything by myself difficult. So if I was a lot younger, then yeah, maybe hold an event if you want to, but seek out help and don't be afraid to let other people collab. A lot of people want to do this and really want to get involved. Army is obviously a great community, so just think about that and think how you can help each other and to make the stress levels a lot lower than what I went through. Okay, next thing I would say is contact the cafe and explain the whole thing, and I've got in capitals, you can't see that, whole in capitals. So explain the whole event, exactly what you want to your cafe before you book them in and pencil them in. This can be the case of maybe the cafe doesn't know that you want lots of decorations and their space is quite small. You turn up on the day, a shitload of decorations, they're going to be like, what the heck, we don't have the room for this, could cause conflict and could ruin your event. So make sure to discuss this with your chosen event space or cafe well before your event. Say to them, you know, we want to have some sort of decoration and explain, don't just say we want decorations, say exactly what you want. Say, I want balloons here, I want this here, I want this here, I want, you know, I don't know what people want at their events, but think about that logistically. I'd told my cafe that I wanted an area where people would be able to take photos, so I actually went to the cafe. Now, that is a top tip. Go and visit the cafe before you do any event. Always go and speak to the cafe, look in the cafe, make sure there's enough things for everything. For example, at my event, we had a backdrop with photo frames hanging with pictures of Tay in and like lights wrapped around and balloons. Things like that. If you've got lights, you may need like sockets, plug sockets, anything like that. So make sure you go and do like a recce. Do a recce of the cafe and make sure they've got everything that you want. Make sure they're totally okay with the decorations you're going to bring, and just always be on agreement with them. The cafe, I cannot speak. The cafe are helping you out, so make sure that you're very kind to them and respectful to them. Also be aware that if you're holding an event in a cafe, the cafe owners cannot stop the general public from coming in. If the general public do arrive, just be aware that they are just there to use the cafe in general, and you cannot expect them to leave. So just know that that can happen. That did happen at my event, and through having a register, that was really helpful. Okay, this is really irritating because my camera is just being really frustrating, and my SD cards are apparently full even though they're not full, and I just can't film on it, and I want to get this done tonight because it's late and I just want to get it done, so I'm having to film on my phone, which is really irritating, but at least you can see Tay. So this is really frustrating because I just remembered that all my notes are on my phone and now I'm having to use my phone. Oh my god, my brother just texted me about the article about Ollie London looking like Jimin. Oh, vom. Anyway, let's carry on. The next part I actually wanted to go into was the graphic design. Obviously this is very important as most of the stuff that you'll be giving away have to be designed. My one photo card that I designed for my event is here. Glossy on the front, matte on the back. Which actually, I will let you into a secret. I had got the idea that they were going to be glossy both sides. So the fact that it was only glossy on the one actually kind of annoyed me. But obviously I had to graphic design these. Not necessarily easy, and if you haven't done graphic design before, can be like really challenging. I sort of did this design because I knew exactly what theme I was going for. If you came to my event, then you will know that it was winter bear. So everything that I did, I sort of based off, I wanted it to be wintry colours because that was the time of Tay's birthday. I actually used the green that came from the fact that his microphone is green. Brown I just think goes really well with green, so that's sort of how I came up with the colour combination. Designing these took me quite a long time, so I think if you're not familiar with graphic design, then maybe try and find a graphic designer. I know that quite a lot of people do that for their events, and it's never a bad shout. If you go on sites such as Fiverr, there are a lot of like freelancers on there who are obviously after work and they're professional, so they're not just going to do a bad job, they're going to do a really great job actually. If you're working with designs, you want to make sure that the design comes out at full quality, so you want it to maybe come from a Photoshop file or Illustrator file. I actually use Photoshop. I don't actually have a clue how to use Illustrator, which graphic designers would probably murder me for. I've never actually studied graphic design. I sort of self-taught myself through Photoshop, and I just have a play. I enjoy it, so yeah. That's something to definitely like look into and think about. I would also say this is probably a given, but make sure you've got a playlist on which is for the event that you're holding. If you're holding a BTS event, you probably don't want Blackpink coming on halfway through the event. Maybe there's multi-fandom at your event, but sometimes there isn't, and I don't know, that would just totally kill a mood if you went to a birthday event for Jungkook and suddenly suddenly like Blackpink or like 17 start playing. I think that's everything I have to say about holding your own K-pop cup sleeve event or event in general. If there's anything else you would like to know, you can leave a comment down below or message me on Twitter or however else you find me, Instagram, whatever. I don't know, but if you do want to know anything, feel free to message me and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope this video was helpful, and I'm so sorry that I had to switch to my phone. I'm honestly like want to shoot myself in the head because this is really frustrating me, but hey, we gotta work with what we've got. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, and if I rambled on, then yeah, bye.